In this module, we are going to discuss about state file and state file importance with some basic operations. So treat state file as like your production resources. See, we always worry about production resources, right? In similar way, whatever resources Terraform is creating, the state file is going to maintain all that resource information. So let's deep dive into state file, and in continuation module, we are going to discuss how we can store state files in remote locations like S3 and how we can lock it for security and for team collaboration purposes. See in the module. Alright, let's understand a bit more about Terraform state file. So in one of the previous video, I already give a quick introduction about Terraform state file. So this is a slide. So basically this Terraform state file is act as a source of truth. So what are the changes happening on our current project? Okay, it is going to track. So to create the resources, to update the resource, to delete the resources, this is a primary component. And I mentioned like we can store it like in a secure location, as it is going to contain some sensitive information, right? So to store this, we have multiple options. We can store local, we can store it in like remote S3 buckets. So whenever we are like planning or applying this Terraform script, okay, so automatically this state file is going to create and it is going to refresh. Okay, by default Terraform uses the local backend. So basically this backend means where actually this Terraform is going to store it. Backend is actually like a service where it is going to perform all the operations. So by default Terraform has no backend configuration block, so it uses the local backend. So that's why the Terraform file is going to stored in the local directory, and if we want we can store it in like in our local path, or we can store it in S3 bucket as well. So but this is a simple script we used so far to create our EC2 instances. So I have created a plain like a workspace, and this is the only code I have. Apart from that, I don't have any other files or folders in this location. So now I'm going to give Terraform plan, and it is showing inconsistent dependency log file. So basically I have not initialized this. Okay, so this is a brand new folder. As a first thing, we have to initialize by using Terraform init. Alright, so you can see here all these files like the support files are going to store in this Terraform, the provider related files. Okay, so this is our main.tf. Alright, so now we can give terraform.plan, and still there is no tf state.log file. Yeah, this is the one, the state file not created yet. Okay, so now whenever we apply, okay, Terraform apply like auto approve. So now we got this Terraform state file. So till now we didn't get the Terraform state file, and this Terraform state file is actually empty at moment, but the resource creation is started here in backend, right? So the Terraform state file is going to update with the information. So here is my EC2 instance. Okay, let's navigate to instance screen, and you can see here Aviz instance, and this instance it is in like a running state. There is a public IP address. Okay, so that entire instance information is going to store in this Terraform state file. So even we can search, you can see here the same instance public IP address it is showing now. So now what if there are some scenarios, okay, so where multiple developers, for example, let's assume this is my AWS environment. So let's assume he's a DevOps engineer 1, he's DevOps engineer 2. So these two guys are creating resources. simultaneously. So what happened, like, it may lead to that resource inconsistency, right? So this guy may be applying something, this guy is maybe destroying something. Which one is going to take effect? And also there is very less possibilities that, like, the in a single laptop, from a single laptop, both operations perform at the same time. Okay, so there is no very high chances. But when you are working as a team, so there are high chances that multiple users may may try to modify, may try to delete or destroy the resources at a time. So to save this, so basically we have a concept called Terraform um, locking. Okay, so we have a concept called state file locking. So we can apply some lock. So before locking, I want to cover one more point. So currently this Terraform state file is presented in this location where we have our main.tf page. See, if someone modifies this, it may lead to inconsistency. It is not at all recommended to, like modify this manually. We should not do that, and you can treat in this manner. Treat this tf state file as like your production data, whatever resource you have here. So generally we pay more attention towards our production data, right? So you treat this tf state file as, like, very very important one. Okay, so now such type of very important ones, why we need to store in the same location? Can we store it in somewhere else? Like, for example, I want to create a directory somewhere. Okay, for example, under Terraform state storage. Okay, so I want to, like, place that file here under state storage location. So this is what the path. Okay, so then what we can do? So we can modify this. Okay, so we have to add a Terraform blank. Terraform, so we have to define the backend. So I'm going to call this as a local. Okay, so then what is a path? Where do you want to store this? So the path is going to be this. So I want to store this particular Terraform file. I don't want to store this tf state file in the location where this my remaining code main.tf or other files are present. Okay, so then what actually we can do? I did some changes here, right? So now if I give Terraform apply, see, it is giving something error. Okay, so I mean it's saying like a backend initialization required. So we did some changes, right? So to take the changes effect, we have to run Terraform init. So then only it is going to take effect. Okay, it is saying error loading state. Read the state file could not be read. Users state is a directory. Okay, what is the file name you want to give? Right, give slash, you can give any file name. Okay, secure dot state, or you can give some meaningful name like a local secure dot state. Now just initialize this Terraform init. Okay, so it's asking you want to, yes. Now I have typed yes, and if you observe, sometime back, whatever the location folder we created, right, state store, I have not created this file manually, but it got created automatically. Okay, and also earlier our tf state file has some code, but now if you click here, it is actually empty. Okay, so now the state file is actually going to store here in this path, not in the location where our code is residing. So the existing one also it become empty. All right, so this is one way. But, like, here the file is storing in this laptop only. But what if our infrastructure is maintained by multiple developers? So we cannot store in developer one laptop the state file, and we cannot manage, right? So that's the reason whoever uses this Terraform, right, they use different options to store their backend the file. So in AWS, we can use S3 service. So earlier we have to use S3 along with DynamoDB, but now we have just S3 service to store the the state file. So first you have to create a bucket. For example, I have a bucket, Aviz bucket. So I just created it in pretty simple steps. Click on create bucket. Okay. Firstly, make sure you are in your desired region. I'm in Mumbai region. My bucket name is Aviz video bucket or Aviz Terraform bucket. Okay. And I'm going to enable the versioning. So this versioning help us to maintain multiple copies of our file. So if accidentally deleted or you want to track, you do have an option to get the file back if you enable bucket versioning. So I have enabled that here. Then click on create bucket. Alright, the bucket is now created. I'm going to use this particular bucket to store my currently we are storing in this particular path, right, the state file. Instead of this, I want to store this file in S3 bucket so that multiple users can access. It is going to be um, one of the popular remote backend choice for our uh, primarily AWS infrastructure and all. Okay, so that teams can collaborate better and all the team members are going to have centralized management. Okay, so currently no files, nothing here. So I want to modify this code to store the data into here in this S3 bucket. So first backend, instead of local, you have to give S3. Okay, so backend is going to be S3 and we have to define the bucket name. We have to define the bucket name and my bucket name is Aviz Terraform bucket. Hope the bucket name is said. Yes, Aviz Terraform bucket. Right. So then key. So where you want to store this? So I want to store this as something like central.state and then region. Yes, I'm going to give region like the bucket is in AP South 1. All right. So again, I did some changes to this code, right? So now we all see currently our state file is in our local. Okay, we have to migrate it to S3. So if I simply give Terraform init, it may not work. Okay, so backend configuration changed. Okay, so we have to migrate. So by using this Terraform init migrate state. So when you run this, okay, so till now the file is here in local, right? So I'm running this init migrate state. I'm typing yes. Okay, Terraform has been successfully initialized. So now Terraform plan. So it is refreshing the state. Terraform apply auto approve. So now let's observe. Okay, apply complete resource added and all, but earlier this bucket is empty, right? Let me give a quick refresh and you can see here the file is now storing here. So you can click and you can click on open and you see this is all the EC2 instance information. So what happened to the local file? So if you open this local file with any of the text editor and all, you see it also has that information, but it is not going to be used by the Terraform anymore. All right. So now whatever changes we do, okay, it is going to store here. Now again, you might get it out. Hey Avinash, like Sometimes, see, let's assume here multiple users are working on the same project. So both has full access on S3 platform. So the DevOps engineer 1, he's actually picking that S3 state file. DevOps engineer 2 also has permission on the S3 bucket state file. So now, can they modify at a time? Yes, chances are there, but we are storing it in central location. Okay, so there is a scenario with locking, without locking. Okay, so if you observe, okay, these all things we already covered. So if you observe, okay, there is a scenario here. Two engineers, person A and person B, both run Terraform apply at the same time on the same project. Person A starts apply, Terraform begin updating the state. Before it finishes, person B also triggers an apply. So now what happened? Which one is going to take effect? See, without locking, right, both operations modify the state file at same time. So this may lead to duplicate resources, wrong resources deletion, corrupted state file, or unpredictable infrastructure changes. Resource may create, resource may terminate. So it may happen like, it's unpredictable one. But there is an option to lock the state file. If you are locking that state file, when person A starts, the state file is going to be locked. Person B must wait until the lock is released. So at a time, only one person changes are going to apply. And there are a couple of more commands, and let's see this, how actually this works. Okay, so now we have not enabled the lock at this the backend at moment. So we have to add one more line. Earlier, to do this lock backend, we have to create a DynamoDB table. Okay, and state file is going to store in S3. The lock status is going to store in DynamoDB. But now the Terraform extended its support, and without DynamoDB also, we can lock the resources. Okay, so use lock file is set to true. Okay, so now whenever any user is trying to apply their changes, it is going to be with that user only until unless those changes completed. When second user is trying, it won't apply the changes. So to demonstrate this, what actually I'm going to do, I'm going to take a command prompt here, the regular command prompt. So I'm going to give Terraform like first I'm going to apply the changes here. So Terraform plan. Okay, we have changed the configuration file. We have to run Terraform init. Okay, we have to do the migration. Init migrate state. Right. So now whenever we are giving Terraform plan, okay, so now let me do some change. Okay, let me try to change this to lock test. Okay, I'm just changing the instance name. So I'm not giving auto approve. So I want to show you that, okay, we are doing some changes, so the file have to be locked. You can see here Terraform. Okay, we ran Terraform plan, right? So then I'm running Terraform apply. But see, I'm not adding auto approve, so that we are trying to do some changes here. Okay, at the same time, another user is trying to perform something. Okay, now when another user trying to perform something, you can see that here error acquiring the state lock. So operation error, put object. Okay, so basically this is a lock ID, this is a path, operation type apply, and this is who actually logged it, the information is going to store here. When this particular operation completed, when I type yes and when this operation completed, then only this guy can perform Terraform apply. So once the operation completed there, now you see here it's saying no changes. But important thing is, when someone is modifying the infrastructure, that no one is able to use the no one is able to do the changes. So this is more important for our team collaboration purposes. All right, so there are a couple of commands related to this, Terraform state. So Terraform state list is a command to list the resources. I have an AWS instance and the resource name is Mumbai instance. And if you want to show this particular instance, particular details about this, so what we can do, Terraform state show, and then we can give the resource information, and you can see here it is picking that particular resource information. Even you may have lot of resource in the state file, so whatever the information you really required, so that particular block information we can get it. And there are a couple of commands where you want to remove a particular resource from a state file, you can do that, but it is not at all recommended. Okay, and the important thing is, once you do this remove, Terraform no longer track it. So it's not at all a recommended command. And one last thing, if you want to rename something, okay, for example, say here Terraform state show, so I just want to rename this. Okay, so we can use mv command, AWS instance Mumbai instance, right? AWS instance Mumbai. So currently the block name is Mumbai instance, and we can call it as a Mumbai new instance. Then click on enter. So successfully mode one object. Okay. So it is going to rename that. So we can actually go to the state file and we can actually verify that. So the changes, whatever changes we perform, it is going to create a version here. So you can see the name, it got changed to Mumbai new instance. So with the help of this mv command, we actually did that. All right. So now Terraform plan. Right. So change, one to add, one to destroy. So now it is going to we have renamed the block, right? So Terraform new instance will be destroyed. So Terraform just Mumbai instance refresh state. So we can Terraform apply. Alright, so primarily the purpose of this video is to understand where we can store this state file. We do have an option to store it in our local, we do have an option to store it in our S3 bucket as well. Alright, so yeah, that's it for this video. See you again in next video. Thank you. Hope you are learning Terraform from our videos. And if you feel these videos are valuable, don't forget to share with the DevOps learners and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.